So I can't believe that I'm looking at, yeah, it's literally June 25th. So it's literally a year since we started this class. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's already been a year. I just can't. Um, so many things have happened, and I feel like I've gotten to really see so many of you like growing and showing up. And what's amazing to me is how everybody is just so supportive of one another in this community. And I don't know about you, but I don't know. I've been on the planet long enough to be in lots of different groups and just see, eventually the excitement dies down and there's just not the same kind of encouragement and honesty and commitment to the work. So it's such a joy to be a part of it. And when I tell people about it, what's that about? And I'm like trying to explain, people don't get it at all. You have to be in it to know what it's like. So it's been really cool. So thank you for doing your part, because this definitely was a joint effort of so many people coming together. And I think it's super cool how, in Ari's path, he's been a student of so many things that I don't know much about. And I think it's neat how, we can teach each other things and learn from one another. And I've certainly learned a lot from him. And what's also cool is that we can decide what path we want to take. By the way, I just looked at the chat. Thanks. I just got these earrings yesterday at a museum. So like this designer, it was like an indie designer. I took my kids yesterday to this Jim Henson exhibit. And what's super cool about the Jim Henson exhibit, more other than the fact that like he's just so powerful and, we all love the Muppet Show and everything like that, just all the quotes that are around the exhibit are everything that we talk about, like imagination and creativity are your birthright. And everybody is creative. And this week on my podcast, I interviewed this woman, Julia Cameron, who wrote a book called The Artist's Way, which I did that book twice. And when I say did it, it's because it's a 12-week course in this book. And every week she gives you assignments and tells you to basically make space to do the kinds of things that might put you in a space to be more creative. But if I had to sum up the entire book is basically saying, don't be a perfectionist, let yourself be creative. And it also tells you to give yourself the discipline to stay in it, because creativity pours through you. And eventually she believes, the book is very spiritual. And she is a recovering, she calls herself a sober alcoholic. That's how she calls it. So, but she's a really spiritual person. I think being in a 12-step program changed her life. I think that she believes that when you are really creative, eventually you let go and you surrender and something else comes through you. And sort of like there's this divine source that we can't really put into words, but you're like the pen and something is like using you to write something or create something. And she said that in her life, she's worked with so many amazing filmmakers and songwriters and dancers and all these creative people. And she said that everybody she's met, at some point in their life, they have an experience where they don't know how it's happening. They're just the music coming or the song is writing itself or whatever. So she feels like everyone has a way to connect to that divine source, and that creative people, that's really what they're doing, is they're able somehow to get rid of this self-conscious block so they can just open up. But she said like one of her favorite things to do, which I think applies to us, and that's why I'm sharing this with you, but she worked at many different film schools through the course of her career. She's had lots of different hats. And one thing that she used to ask all these big directors to do, and she was married to James Cameron, by the way, which is why her last name is Julia Cameron. She also was married to Martin Scorsese. She's been with a lot of famous people. But she says that early in their work, they made terrible things, really mediocre things. And one time she actually talked about on the podcast that she got George Lucas to show some of his early films. And he was so embarrassed, and he fought her to show it. And he said, why would this be good to show a film student something that's so poor? And she said, because people need to know that you have to make mediocre things in order to start to make brilliant things. And everybody knows that those three people we just mentioned, Martin Scorsese and James Cameron and George Lucas, have clearly gone on to make brilliant things. But she said it takes tremendous courage to let yourself stay in it. And that's why her book is actually a workshop of 12 weeks, because she believes that you have to be in a process. And so I feel like that's something that we've hopefully done in this class, is to give you guys a look at sort of, what is a habit and what is a process that you should take into your life. I think because creativity just sort of left, oh, well, I'll just leave it over there and I'm sure I'll get to it. You probably won't. So we need to make space for that. And that was really, once again, what I took away from the Jim Henson exhibit is how he was such a believer of this birthright that we all have. And we all are creative. And in fact, I asked Julia Cameron, I said, do you think that at some point it's cruel to encourage people to be creative? Hey, there you go. Robin has the book. So I said to her, do you think it's cruel to encourage people to be creative? What if they're not talented? What if they're not gifted? What if they don't have anything brilliant to say? And she said, you know what? People ask me that all the time. And I've done this. She said, I've been doing this for so long that I believe that every person actually does have so much creativity in them. And if you look at children in a classroom when they're 4 or 6 or whatever, and you give them watercolor or paint, they're all creative. And everyone is creative. Even if you wind up being a scientist or you wind up having your own business and it has nothing to do with arts, you're still creative if you have to think of ways to make things happen, or you're engineering something, or you're even designing what you're going to say, or in your logo. I mean, everybody has this inside of them, but we tell ourselves lots of things. We want to put ourselves in boxes. Anyway, so I feel like hopefully over the course of the year, you were introduced to different things that could maybe whet your appetite. I mean, Ari has a totally different road than mine. His life is really much more of a mixed bag of touring, and also he's doing a new project, and he also knows how to sort of leverage different things, from Patreon to merch to all these different things. But one thing that is the same that we both did, which I would encourage you guys to do, is just to be thinking about how to take the road less traveled. With Ari's career also, he started making this blog, right? He started to create this blog because people were asking him in Minneapolis. He was like the guy who knew things. So he just started to write down like what he knew. But then, by being an investigator, being inquisitive and wanting to know more about the music industry, he actually made a name for himself by asking questions and by pursuing that. So there's so much room for more of that, and it could come in different ways. I know, Sam, you mentioned that you've been starting this podcast on sync, and I think it's really super smart. And there's room. There's so much room. Like, I've been interviewed on like 8 music podcasts, and they each have their own little tribe. And it's amazing. Like, the people who've interviewed me, each of them, in fact, there's one of the guys, he didn't know anything really about sync. He hadn't gotten a license. He had gone to Berkeley, and he was like, I want to do a whole thing on how to license music because I'm interested in it. And he makes his living like interviewing people on a podcast and talking about that. And there's lots of people doing lots of things, but it doesn't mean that there's no room for you to do it. It basically just means there's an audience for that. And no one, in my podcast, like, okay, so I'm interviewing Julia Cameron or other creative people, and people are like, okay, so that's been done. It totally has, but I didn't do it. So there are people who, they'll just hear it differently when I say it. And there are people who are like, I don't like Cathy's show. I like, Tim Ferriss's show. I like Lewis Howes' show. That's great. That's a democracy. That's awesome. So I just think one of the things that I've always done in my career is not wait for an opportunity, but just be messy. Just try things. Just try things without having any kind of like Like Jenna Fisher, when she was on my podcast, she's like, basically you're building the engine while you're flying the plane. Like you don't know what you're doing, but you're just thinking, what else can I do? As opposed to sitting here going, I hope somebody calls me and, gives me an opportunity. So just thinking about that, one thing that I did early on was like, bringing coffee to people's offices. We talked about that, but then also like renting a theater. Like I just was like, I'm going to rent a theater and see if people will come and speak to an audience. And then, oh, guess what? Maybe now I have a relationship with this person and now I can, have them listen to my music. It just creates more opportunities. So I feel like the biggest thing I see with people is that they haven't scratched the surface of what they have in here and how much they have to give. I was talking to a friend over the weekend and he's selling insurance. And he told me he had like the worst year financially. And he was like, it was embarrassing. And I'm like, well, why are you selling insurance? That's a terrible fit, And he's like, yeah, I don't like it. I'm like, well, why do you think you're going to make money at it then? And so I was telling him, what do you think you're good at? What do you like? And he's like, how will I make money from this? I'm like, oh my goodness. So I started giving people some ideas of what to do and what to try. But I hope that that's one thing, is that you've listened to Ari sort of share what he's tried and different things that might work. But I'll tell you what, like when you want to do something, you'd be amazed at what you can create. One of our friends in LA, she created Silver Lake sessions, and basically she like brings all these artists together to perform. And then when they perform, they all have an audience because everybody joins this community and there's thousands of people now in it. So instead of trying to book a show at the Hotel Cafe or wherever else in LA people book shows for today, she created a community. And I said to her, I don't even understand, like, it doesn't make sense that you are barely surviving. Like, why don't you charge people to be part of this community? Because you're providing them an audience. You know how hard it is when you book a show in LA to get the amount of, so you need a certain amount of people to come to a show in order for them to give you a piece of the door. So you need at least like 45 people. It's not easy to do that, especially if you want to perform all the time, because if your friends already came last month, they might not come again this month. So I said, you're providing for them a way for other people to come and hear each other. And it's an incredible experience. And she also has all these other tools that she provides. And so she was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm like, imagine you have thousands of people who want to be a part of this. So charge people like $15 a month and be the person who curates all these shows. There's just, there are ways for you to 100% make a living from what you want to do. You just have to think about it and start to talk to people and see. And then of course, while you're at that, I mean, I would be sitting here thinking, as far as sync goes, I really wouldn't let a week go by where I didn't do any research. Like I would make sure I'm doing research on who some of these people are every single week. By the end of a Friday, if you haven't reached out to people over email, you should say to yourself, that's a missed opportunity because I really could have done that. So I want you to be thinking about that, every single day while we're sitting here. There are people right now who are sitting looking for songs, and you could be reaching out to those people. And so I would encourage you to think about reaching out to ad agencies and staying connected to each other. And yeah, it's slow and steady. It does take time. It took me years to build relationships, but one at a time. Like you have one person respond and you keep reaching out to that person. That is one little thing that is a very valuable thing to have as you continue on your journey, and you'll keep collecting those people. Also, for some of you, how many of you, just raise your hand so we can see it. How many of you are already in the other class that we do, the Access course? How many of you are in that class? Well, I know all your faces. So not all of you are in it, but some of you are in it. I think it's become something that's even more phenomenal than I anticipated when we started. It's just, for those of you who don't know what it is, basically I first started, before I did this class with Ari, I started a class called Six Figure Songwriting, teaching people like, how did I get these articles like published? How have I had any success? And I was just teaching people how to write for sync. And then when that class ended, I said to Sonnet, I want to do something different. I don't just want to talk to people about the music. I want to actually help them have access to people. And I actually want to pitch people for things because we truly, it's selfish. We are looking for more artists. So she's like, okay. And I didn't know how successful it would be in terms of finding people. I thought, oh, I don't know. Like if we keep giving them opportunities, what if nothing's good? And then we can't, and then that would be frustrating. And she's like, yeah. I said, but if they're really doing it, their music should get better and better. And maybe this will work. So let's try it. Let's see what happens. So it's been like crazy. We've literally, the last year, the songs that we've placed, the only songs that we've placed have been from the artists. We don't sign any artists outside of now this class. And the songs are getting better and better and better. And people who are in the class know that and have heard that. And we've now, like every month, we're signing new artists from the class. We're pitching them. And I was telling you guys last week and giving you guys an update that there are 2 artists in the class. And they actually last Friday just asked us for stems from one of those 2 artists. So I'm pretty sure I know who it's going to go to. And it's going to go to a person who has been working really hard, and she's probably going to cry a lot sometime this week when I send her the license. But it's $18,000, and she's worked really hard, and she is a single mom, and she's been in this class. She's one of the earliest people to join it, and she really wanted to give up many times. And I kept saying to her, you just got to keep writing. And now she's really gets it, because like she stopped writing and sending me stuff like 10 months ago. But for the first little while, she was plugging away and writing and getting really frustrated, because I would say to her, I like this. Oh, I really like this. And she's like, well, nothing's happening. I'm like, right. You got to stay in this. This is like a long distance run. So it's exciting that that's happening currently as we speak. But the point is, the Access course basically is every month music supervisors come inside the class, talk to you like this over Zoom video. We then give you assignments. We listen to all those songs every month. And then we also offer several opportunities a month to pitch your music. And then we pitch the songs that we love. And then people have been having good success with that. So that's what we've been doing. We're really excited about it. And some of you are coming to this. How many of you are going to be at this event in July? Anybody? Cool. Oh, that's so great. It's going to be super fun. So the July event, is basically for people in the Access course, and that's it. And so it's full. But we will also have one, I think, next year. We'll see how it goes. If it's super fun, maybe we'll do 2 a year, but we have like 12 music supervisors coming on Thursday. And then on Friday, we have a day of producers and songwriters. So Billy Loeffler will be there on Friday. He's like so fun to be around. My co-writer and amazing songwriter herself, Kyler England, will be there. And we'll be giving you guys a songwriting assignment that during the 2 days. So some of you are having one-on-one sessions with music supervisors. Then there'll be panel discussions. Then we'll have breakout groups. Then there'll be an assignment you guys can start working on. Then Billy will come around, give you guys some feedback. We're going to have drinks one night at a hotel. We're going to tell everybody where to meet up. We'll be at this really cool theater called the Hudson Theater. And the Hudson, it's this really great space. There's basically 4 theaters inside the Hudson. We'll have 2 of the theaters. And then inside the Hudson, in the actual building, there's a great coffee shop. And then there's a great restaurant. It's called Eat This. And the food is like farm to table. It's great food. I can't believe that it just happens to be in this building. So we'll break for lunch. There'll be coffee breaks if you want. It's literally, you can like walk from the theater into this restaurant. There's a back entrance because it's part of the same little building. It's going to be super fun. And it's right in the middle of like cool stuff. The W, Hollywood, great bars, great hotels. It's cool. It's going to be great. So people can Uber places and people can walk places. So we're going to do that July 26th and 27th. So that's sort of a live experience of what the class is like. But I think the class has been amazing. If anybody is sort of finishing this and you want to join that, then we are going to give you guys, since you're in this class, we're just going to give you a bonus. And Victoria has all the details about it. So if you join this, we're going to give you guys a bonus, which I think will be that for the next live event, we'll give those people who come from this class like 50% off of that, and then maybe something else. We talked about it. So email Victoria if you want to be a part of the access class now that this is finishing. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you guys some feedback because we had 5 songs turned in this morning. So we're going to go over that. And then also I want to just talk to you guys about where you're at and answer any questions and kind of talk through just wherever you're feeling stuck. I want to be here to support you and encourage you. So let's look at these songs quickly because there's only 5 of them. And let's listen to these songs. Okay, so this song, Bev, you sent this song, and this is an instrumental, and I'm gonna put it in here, and it's called Home Away from Home. This is such a beautiful, emotional track. The production quality is excellent. I love the fact that it sounds so modern, and there's a blend of pop and indie tones. I think there could be like one big build, maybe. Like if that would just be cool if there was just one big crescendo. But I would say great job creating distinct sections throughout. And it's so beautiful. You know, tracks like this get licensed a lot. So I definitely think that as it is, this is something that really can stand on its own. I also would be curious because for our purposes, you know, we're often also looking for lyrics and things like that. It's so beautiful. Like I would think about maybe if it can inspire you to sing something or write something, but it's really, really pretty. And I've mentioned that song Turn to Stone, that instrumental track of, and that song was licensed, I told you guys, to Google. It was like 150 grand just for the instrumental. And they used it like 3 years in a row. And there wasn't even a vocal on it. It was just like this beautiful instrumental track. So I think that that can stand on its own. And I would think about, again, every time you have something that you've created, like how can you repurpose content? That is a question to always ask yourself. How can you repurpose content? What does that mean? That means like if you have an instrumental track like this, so you send it to us, but what else do you do with it? You start thinking about like, who are the music houses who need instrumental music? Who are music supervisors? Where do you see trailers that use stuff like this? Where do you see anything that uses stuff like this? And this is part of our job. And this is the part where people sometimes, not you, but some people like throw their hands up. They're like, oh, but this is, I think, where I begin and everybody else is, they're done. So I think that that's one thing that we really have to keep hitting home. I think the reason why I continue to have any kind of like results, it's not because like I'm just so freaking talented. It's like I'll finish the song and then I think to myself, okay, so what am I going to do with it now? So now it's just you're at the beginning of the Monopoly board. Okay, now the song is done. So what do I do with it? And I think people get really frustrated because they send it to a few places and then they stop. But I would be thinking about all the different places that you can send it. Even sometimes my kids are watching YouTube videos, which they do all the time, and my husband will go, this song in this video is so dumb. Like, why don't you email this YouTuber and offer her music? And I'm like, I should, like I should do that. And so there's so many things. The other day, my kids were dancing to an old CD of mine. They put on this CD player that we have in the living room. My kids totally destroy this CD player. But who cares, right? Guess who has a CD anymore? Anyway, so my mom's like, this song, I have a song called Happily Ever After. And she's like, what did you ever do with it? I'm like, I don't know, nothing. She's like, well, why not? I'm like, I don't know. I wrote it like 5 years ago. And she's like, but it's so good. It's so good for a movie. And I'm like, I know, it'd be good for like a Disney movie or even just like one of those shows on like Freeform. I'm like, yeah, I really should send it. And like, there's so many times where you know that and you kick yourself. So don't just make it sort of an ongoing commitment that you're going to think about ways to repurpose content, and you'll be so surprised at what happens. Okay, the next song is called Say Something. This is Andrea's song. I'm going to put it right here. So This is a really cool, like mid-tempo contemporary vibe. Really good storytelling in the lyrics. I think this could be great for TV and film. The vocals sound a little loud compared to the production on the chorus. So I would say work on a mix for this a little bit, and then we'd like to hear the updated version because there's some really good stuff going on in this song. So thank you for sending it in. Akira song, Walking to the Moon. This is an instrumental also. I love the name of this song. This instrumental track uses so many cool sounds. It makes it really unique. I think it could definitely work for like a sci-fi placement or a video game. I think the mix has to be tightened up a little bit so the instruments sound like they're all part of one track. Maybe try adding more electronic elements or synths to make it sound a little more modern and updated a little bit. I think it's going in a really cool place. There's a lot of like unique things going on with that song. Alex, the song is called Shine Bright. Alex, I feel like everyone's talking about you lately around here with your great song. The attitude and swagger of the song is so much fun. This track has great energy, lyrical theme, obviously works well. There's different sections throughout the song. I like how it goes back and forth with the female and the male vocals. The female vocal gets a little drowned out in the mix on the chorus. I would make that small edit and then send it back after that mix a little better on the vocals. And the last one is called Here We Go Again. Ari Papernick. I'm going to put it right here. Awesome. Thanks, Alex. I just saw your message in the chat. This song has great lyrics. It's a good theme. There's like this really cool folk country pop vibe. But it sounds a little bit dated. I would try adding some more current elements into the mix to make it sound a little more modern, but I think that you're definitely on the right track for ads for TV. I just think that it's really important to find ways of making the production pop. And you know that sometimes, I don't know if you guys think of things like this, but there are times where you could have the song in a certain place and you just kind of want it to be polished or you want it to be punched up a little bit. And you can create, situations with producers where you don't have to pay them maybe as much as you would have if they were starting from scratch. Maybe you just give them a little something and they take what you have and they take it from here to here. And so I would think about that, reach out to the Highfields and see if they're available. I mean, there are people who are so fast who can listen to something and be like, this is awesome. I know what it's missing. It's just missing this or it's just missing that. And it goes the extra mile. I have had songs in mind where I know something needs to be changed in the production and the song itself is great and it's just sitting there and it's never really going to get what it deserves because the production is just, or even if the intro of the production, it's not great, but it winds up being better in the chorus, but no one's going to listen all the way to the chorus because there's something about that production that sounds like dated or silly or just not as good as it's supposed to be. And I know myself, I have work I should be doing because I already wrote the great song. I already got a good melody. There's already good lyrics and it's been validated and people like it and the production's just sitting there and it's not smart to just be like, well, oh well. It's like, well, the production, especially if you've worked with like one producer on the production, guess what? You can have a new master with another producer and it doesn't affect the other producer. If the producer is working with you on this master, that's what they have a stake in. They don't have a stake in the publishing unless you've created a deal like that. So you could have multiple people record different masters for you and you don't have to pay every single person when the song winds up hitting if every master is different, unless somebody steals the production from somebody else and then they might say, well, what are you talking about? That's exactly what I just did. But you can have different masters and it can be different. So tell me what is going on with you guys. Like, where do you feel you're stuck right now? Where do you feel like you're struggling? What do you think you need more of at this point? Who would like to kind of just like chime in or just share something awesome? Like, oh, this would be, just a really cool thing I feel like sharing. I'm listening. Yeah, Bev, how's it going?
Excellent, Cathy. How are you? Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Well, first of all, I actually do have lyrics for that song. I sent you the wrong one by mistake, but I'm thrilled I did. I was no way was I ever going to send out an instrumental, so I'm thrilled. But anyway, I just had 4 of my originals. Well, one I co-wrote with the Sousas, and the other 3 are my songs, Christmas songs. I'm just waiting for them to be mixed and mastered.
That's so cool.
I know, I'm super excited. Yeah, I'll send them to you when they're finished so you can listen to them.
That's so cool. That's great. Awesome. Yeah. That's exciting.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you told me. You're like, that was just the instrumental. Okay, so follow up, because it's such a pretty track. So I'm curious to hear that. I'm not surprised that there's a song that goes on top of it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else want to share anything or say anything?
I'll jump on if I'm loud.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
You're like famous around here. That's all I'm talking about.
Thank you. I'm just really excited that you guys are liking my stuff and that I get to build this relationship with you guys. About to send an email right now to Victoria and Sonnet to follow up about the Alex Stern thing. I was thinking, you guys have another song of mine called The Conquerors, and I was like, pitch that to him too. Like, it's up his alley, I think. So I don't know.
He loved you. Did you guys all, well, not everybody's in the Access course, but Alec, he and I have gone way back because he used to work at Leo Burnett and now he's a DDB, but he's the guy, he's the man, he's awesome. And we worked on McDonald's together when he was at Leo Burnett, and brands sort of change agencies sometimes. So now he's working on McDonald's also at his new agency, and he works on huge campaigns. We just did another one with him recently. And those of you who weren't on the call, Alec, we played, he kind of fell in love with Alex's song, and on the spot was like, dude, I could use that. So that was cool. And it made everybody look really good. So thanks for being so awesome. It's always like a little nerve-wracking. Sometimes we'll like play a song for a supervisor and we're like, okay, hopefully this one's a good one, so that the supervisor thinks that this community is something that's a great resource. And you made us all look awesome, so thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, my stomach's in knots whenever I'm sharing this. So it's just like, oh, it's like to have him go like, yeah, I was like, oh, for like the rest of the day, just like I couldn't focus, and it was
Yeah, and I mean, he is the guy who, he takes, people come into his office and give him lunch from every record label, these are major agencies that are doing national campaigns, not just little guy who never heard a song before in his life, coming out of a Kimmy Schmidt bunker. Like, this is like the real deal.
I love Kimmy Schmidt.
I know, we saw a live screening of it recently with the whole cast. It was super fun. So yeah, that was awesome. So way to go on that. And yeah, definitely, if you guys have not heard Alex's music, then I would encourage you to hear it. But I always sit back and I listen as you guys continue to write, and I'm just like, yes, I'm just like keep going. I know you're like, oh, I've already written 12 songs and it should have happened already. It's like, this is so not a normal thing to think. Like, I was just listening to, do you guys know who Bryce Dallas Howard is? She's Ron Howard's daughter. So I was just listening to her being interviewed on somebody else's podcast. And she was saying that when she first started out, her dad was like, I know I'm famous. Doesn't mean you're going to get cast in some lead role in a movie. Like, please understand that, like he was wanting to protect her from the business. He's like, I've seen it so often, like the son or daughter of somebody famous is like, this will just be a shoo-in. He's like, it just doesn't work that way. Like, even as these people love me, I can get you a meeting, but I can't get you a job. Like, the job is going to have to happen because you're really right for the part. They're not going to give you the leading role in a blockbuster movie because you're my daughter. You have to be good at it. And she's like, okay, fine. And so she was talking about how she thought he was like saying that, but like deep down, like it wouldn't be the case. And so she gets an agent easily because she has a very famous dad. And she got sent out, and she didn't get it, and she didn't get it, and she didn't get it, and she didn't get it. And then she remembered that her grandmother was actually an actress, and she said to her, it took me years to actually get anything happening. And she had read this statistic that you don't really get like for an actor, just the statistic was that like it takes 64 auditions before you actually get a part. And so she had it in her mind. After a while, she was like, okay, I'm just going to keep clocking in until 64 because something should happen when I get to 64. And so she kept going. And at one point, her agent was like, I'm feeling so like bad. Like, do you want to just do something else? Like, you're a great writer. And she was like, no, I want to just give this a fair shot. So until I've done 64 auditions, like I'm not going to back off. Maybe at 64 auditions, I'll think about whether I'm even good at this, but I'm just going to keep going. So she just kept going and not getting anything. And then she said when she got to, she believes it was like her 48th audition, she finally got a job. And she was like, oh my God, it's amazing. But what she said that most people don't realize is like literally 48 times, like 48 times, which was over the course of almost 2 years, where because there were a lot of times where like they would consider her but not call her in. And she 48 times stood up in front of a group of people who basically said no. And she kept hearing it. And then she finally got one little thing. And then she went back. She said, I started the clock again at 0 and counted up to 64. And my next thing came at like 39. Then I did it again, started back at 0. And so it took her a while until she started. And she said, she looks back, she's like, I just wasn't as good. Like, I just wasn't as good as I am, now. And hopefully, she's like, I'm getting better. But my dad was right. Like, people are not going to give me a job because I have a famous last name. And that's someone who's famous. Like, that's someone who has every door open to them. Everybody would love to make him happy. It wants to have her. And it took her a long time to get a job. So I think it's a good thing to remember as we sort of press along, is to just maybe count that way. Like, I don't know what the statistics are for songwriters, but I have a feeling it's even more than 1 in 64 because, to have songs being heard, people can like listen to many, many more than, it takes, let's say an audition is 15 minutes. Like, I feel like there's probably just many more songs that can be consumed at one time. And so the odds are probably even more. But it's doable. And you look around and you see people who persevere, and it's just a reminder that it is, my kids are here for the summer. So like my daughter opened this door. Anyways, so what else is going on? Who else wants to chime in?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, just a quick question mostly. First, I wanted to tell you, last night I was cleaning up my room, cleaning up my life a little bit, and I was listening to the Matthew Del Negro interview you did. And that was pretty cool. Kind of cool hearing how even when he was making it, he was still having to, put his shoes on and get to work doing the dirty stuff. So
yeah, slugging it out.
That was some good perspective. I recommend people listening to that if they can.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. But my questions are really basic one, I guess. But you were talking earlier about a supervisor requesting stems, right? So I'm just wondering, like, would you send out stems the same way you send out to a mixer with everything separate, or would you maybe group certain elements together like drums to make it more simple for,
I think that you can have them like that. And I don't even think you need them until we ask you for them. Like, you should have them, but I don't think you should send them is what I'm saying. Because it's just too much. It's too much content for people to have on their hard drive. But yeah, I think you should have them definitely available. And then when we ask you for them, I think you could send like the stems to the vocals, the stem you can group together. I mean, we even have sometimes it's like there's like 3 stems. There's like vocal, just the instrumental. And well, sometimes people will say like, can I have you solo out this? Because sometimes there's like 20 tracks. It's hard to like send over that. I think basically when you send over a high level, like a wave instrumental, they then might turn to you and say like, we want the stems for blah, 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 and then you can respond that way. So as long as you just have a good relationship with your producer, or you are your producer, and then sometimes they're like, we need everything. And you're like, oh, okay. And sometimes you get in the unfortunate scenario of like having a music coordinator on the other end who doesn't know what they're saying. So she's like, or he's like, no, I need every single thing and I need it in AIF and WAVE. And you're like, that's the same thing. And then they're like, yeah, just send both. And you're like, it takes an hour to export things. That sometimes happens.
They probably don't actually want 64 tracks though.
Right. So I think that you just kind of like wait for a heads up, and then we try to just be really simple with it. And if they want something specific, they ask for it. You know, like we want, or they'll literally straight up say, we want to take out the drums. So, you know, send that over. Okay, no problem. We want to take out the horns. No problem. So they'll let you know. They don't expect people to do all of those, you know, things at one time. But yeah, it's important to have them available. I have seen it happen a couple times where a person doesn't have stems available and they do lose the job because the agency wants to edit it a little bit and they don't know and it's like, how do you not have your stems? I don't understand. But sometimes people don't. I've had the unfortunate situation once of having a fight with a producer who was like, I'm not giving you anything. I was like, oh my God. I was very upset. And there was like a $35,000 spot. It was for Weight Watchers. And I couldn't get the stems in time. I was very upset. It was terrible. So it's good to have a good relationship with your producer, or to just every time you leave a session be like, can you put this on the zip drive for me? Thank you so much. Have a good day. Or be your own producer. One of the three. What else is going on? Go ahead.
Thanks, Cathy.
Yeah, you guys are the cutest. I love you guys. I love everything. And I'm so touched that you listened to that podcast. This guy, how many of you watch Scandal? Anybody? No, nobody has time. Good for you. You're writing music. Matt is like literally the hottest guy. He was at my house. I'm like recording this, and my husband was here in the morning, and he was objectively like, he really is the cutest guy ever. I'm like, I know. He's like here with me for all day. He's so sweet, so handsome, so charismatic. He was on Scandal. He played a gay prostitute, which is a trip because he's not gay. He's got 2 kids. He's married. And anyway, he was also on The Sopranos. And he just talked about how long it took, and how it's still, like he was in this movie with Reese Witherspoon, and they went behind the scenes to do like a outtake reel, and they were like, so why'd you take this part? And he's like, all I wanted to say was, because I got a part. Like, that's the reason. There's no some spiritual reason. Like, I need to pay the bills. Like he said, like, it's still really hard. And he has a podcast called 10,000 No's, all about rejection. And so he said, you know, you have to be willing to slug it out. And I think that that's one of the things that I think for Ari and myself, because we've talked about it, at one point or another in our own lives, we made a commitment, like, this is it. This is what it's going to look like. This is what I'm going to be. So I'm going to figure it out. I'm not going to say, and the Highfields have told me that too. You know, like Nate was like, we will do this. I don't care if it takes 18 years. I'll be here. You know, like I'll just do it. And you have to give it up for people who commit to things. And then why should we think that like greatness, you know, oh, that should happen right away. And if it doesn't, you know, you should pack up your bags. That's so stupid. I don't know why people think that way, but we do think that way. I think it's mostly because we've been surrounded our entire lives by people who sat it out and didn't go back in the game because they were so uncomfortable, or they were told by their parents that like it's not a practical road to take, or, you know, people are all unhappy anyway, so just join the club. It's like, well, that sucks. I mean, I remember at one point leaving the studio when I had gone full-time, you know, like I'm going to just do music full-time and have side jobs just so I can be a musician. And I left the studio one day and I was like, if this is what I did with my last day, I had such a good day. You know, like, I just can't believe how many people wait and they're like, when I retire, I'll do things I like. It's like, well, that sucks, because when you retire, let's say you're 75, which is the average age of retirement, you're going to have less energy. And sometimes you don't make it till then. Like, I don't know. Like, no one has anything promised to them. So I feel like it's so important to make joy like such a priority. And also because I know, like, I struggle sometimes with even as a mom, oh, I can't believe I spend all this time writing music or doing a podcast. And my friend reminded me the other day, she's like, take your own advice. Like when you're happy, that reverberates. Your kids are happier being around you because you're happy. And so people forget, like, happiness, it's an inside job. And then what you see is people in relationships and they're so upset with their wife. They want a new wife. They want a new husband. It's like, it's not coming from outside. No one's going to fix it. Yes, you could find someone who maybe is more aligned with you, but ultimately, if you are the happiest version of yourself and you're in the struggle, and when I say happiest version, it doesn't mean that you don't have anxiety or you're not stressed a lot, because that's called being a human being and feeling things, especially for us feeling creative people. But you can still find ways to just really find true joy every single day. And I think the biggest feeling of fulfillment is when you know you're pushing yourself past a point where you wanted to give up and you stayed in it. God, it's like, have you ever had in a workout recently? I started working out more and I'm like, I'll have the moment where I'm about to turn off the bike, like I'm in a spin class, or I'm in my own spin class because I have my own Peloton in my room. So I'll be like, okay, I'm going to turn off the bike and then I'll stay on for 5 more minutes. And it's literally the best part of the workout because I'm like, I'm still here. I was about to shut it off. I'm still here. And like, really, like if you keep pushing yourself right past the point where you want to stop, that's where magical things happen. And your body reminds your soul reminds your body, you're good. You can handle this. You got it. You just got to like tell yourself you're fine. You're totally fine. You're uncomfortable, but you're fine. And then you start to be people that other people start talking about. Like, did you see what that person's up to? That's crazy. They're still at it. They're doing this. And your work starts to get better and better and better. So who else wants to share anything, or how can I help in any way? Really, I'm here offering. Ask me anything. Is there anybody you want to like know more about? Is there a supervisor? Is there a show? Is there something I can help you with? Is there, I don't know, anything. What else do you want to do? I'm here to help.
Hello, Cathy. This is Akira.
Hi, Akira. Jeb, I saw your hand. We'll go.
Thank you very much. Just let me say that I appreciate the class all through the year, and I really appreciate your comment of my songs this time. Okay, just one thing I've noticed Tamara is saying something, her song is skipped. Are you noticing that?
I didn't hear what you just said. Say that again.
Okay, Tamara.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, she's speaking something, and her song was skipped. Her song was at the very top of that today's list, but she said her song is skipped.
Oh, today?
Now, yeah.
Oh, this is what I'm saying. I see this class is just the nicest group of human beings. He uses his time to be like, can you listen to her song? I love you. Like, I literally want you all to be my children because I'm so proud of you all.
Now I put the copy and paste of her link from her Facebook page.
I love you. You're so cute and amazing. And I'm going to listen to it right now. I'm going to listen to it right now. Her song was skipped. That's not all right.
Yes,
right.
This was very top of the today's
Okay,
list.
hang on. I don't even know if you guys can hear this. Me and you, we're you and me, we're so close. Me and you, we're both so you and me are one of a kind. And nobody can replace you, nobody can replace you, nobody can replace me, nobody can replace you, nobody can replace me, nobody can replace you, nobody can replace me, nobody can replace you. guys are creating more of this. Tamara. Does she say Tamara or Tamara? I think she says Tamara, right? Anyway, I love that she just wrote. She's like, Akira, I was driving and I was about to go on camera and tell Cathy, you're the freaking best. It's so sweet. Cool. I like that you guys are creating more EDM music because we definitely get asked for it. I think that the chorus of the song had a lot of great energy, and it was like, it started to get like big and full. I will say this whole idea of like, nobody can replace you. I'm thinking about the last time that we had like a romantic song that was like chosen, and it doesn't happen that often. But what does happen is sort of like songs about us and together. Or myself, like I'm doing this or I'm doing that, or this will be the moment that I or you, but not in a like, I don't know. I feel like this had a little more of like a romantic vibe. And I think it started out like you and I were, whatever it was. I just think that this more like sentimental, nobody can replace you lyric, I don't hear that so often. Also, I felt like the chorus was strong, but I felt like the verses just needed some work in terms of lyrics being a little bit more, I don't know, interesting. I didn't really even understand, like, you and I were, I'm not even sure what you were getting at, but I like the overall feel of creating tracks like this, and your vocals cool. I just think I would think about just continuing on this road, and how can you make this better? And I would ask you, like, what song were you listening to and what were you thinking about? Like, oh, I really wanted to create this kind of a story or tell this kind of a thing. I would be curious about that. So maybe you can put it in the chat and tell us. Jeb, you had something you wanted to say. I'm going to unmute you. Talk to us.
Wait. Am I live?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. All right, cool. You said, ask anything. This is your chance. I was like, oh gosh. The first thing that came to my mind was, do you know anybody at DC Films?
DC Films?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Tell me what movies they do, and maybe
they produced the Wonder Woman movie.
Oh, okay. So I think the music supervisors for that are like Dave Jordan. Is that possible? Let me see. Hang on. So, let me look this up. I'll tell you right now if I know the music supervisor. Okay. Hang on. So let's go to IMDb. You guys use IMDb a lot to find music supervisors? Yes, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's go to IMDb for Wonder Woman. I love Gal Gadot. She's freaking awesome. She was 5 months pregnant when she filmed this movie. Hang on a second. So I'm guessing what I think the music supervisor was. Let's see if I'm right.
Or the past movie.
I didn't hear what you just said. It's a little broken up. Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Maybe say it again or type it in the chat. Let's see. Sorry, I'm looking for the supervisor. I'm just scrolling down. There's a lot of people who worked on this movie. It's a long list. Okay. Where is the music supervisor? God, I've literally never seen a long list of people working on the movie as this thing. Oh my God. Okay. Here we go. Here's the music portion. Composers, orchestrator, musician, engineer, music editor. Oh, Karen Elliott. Who is that? She worked on Edge of Tomorrow, Alien versus Predator. Karen Elliott. How do I not know?
House.
Fascinating. This is cool. I just learned about a music supervisor that I don't know. Let's see where she works. Oh, okay. Oh, she works at Warner Brothers. Interesting. So she works with, I feel like, so we have two other people that we work with at Warner Brothers. Nikki Sherrod, I believe, works at Warner Brothers still, and also Amanda Narkis. Let me see, Amanda. Where is she? Yeah, Amanda works there, and so Nikki Sherrod. So I've had a meeting there a couple times with Amanda, and we pitched music to her. We worked with them on. They asked us for music for the Lego movie, and we worked with them on another movie called. It was with Jason Bateman, and This Is Where I Leave You. It was called. I don't know this woman, Karen, so that's interesting. But okay, so it says basically that Warner Brothers Pictures, so it will be that department. Why, do you feel like you have a song that's good for like a Wonder Woman movie?
Yeah. Actually, I reached out to them for the past movie with a song that I didn't think was, well, they didn't think was appropriate necessarily, and I think I may have been pitching it as well. So it was kind of a shot in the dark. But the next Wonder Woman movie, it's called Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
And it takes place in the 80s, and I think the music is going to be 80s driven, is my guess. It could be. And the song that I've produced is an 80s throwback. Has kind of a Queen sound to it. So thought it might be a good fit.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm trying to think. Okay, I'm trying to look to see who else is working on it. So what happens is these people like Randy Spenlove at Paramount and Russell Zeker at Lionsgate and Amanda Narkis and Nikki Sherrod, who are at Warner Brothers, and I guess Karen Elliott's there too. I never met her. So the companies, these film companies, they work on music, but then they hire music supervisors who are outside who also work with them. So I'm trying to find out who is working with them, because it would be easier for you to work with that person than, because Warner Brothers is going to get like a final say, but they're going to be like the last to hear it. And so I'm trying to figure out who they had working on it and who else is listed here. It's got to be here somewhere. But you can send it to us. I want to hear it. Send it to us and just put Wonder Woman. I'm just looking to see who else. It just says her name, but I'm sure there was somebody else working with her. Evan Jefferson. Okay. I'm surprised that it wasn't Format. The Format is Dave Jordan's company, and you guys should have them on the radar. They are music supervisors. They've worked on a lot of the big movies like this, like action movies. And I'm just Format. Let's see, Format, Dave Jordan, Format Entertainment. Let's see. Okay. yeah, you guys should know about format. I'm just looking to see. And he's, by the way, he's married to Julianne Jordan, who works with Julian Michaels, and they've done like Trolls and Pitch Perfect, and they're a power couple, and they both do movies. Oh no. Okay, so we get searches from them, from Justine, who works with them, and from Trigtoven, and I don't know, I was just looking to see if it's so like on their website it shows you Transformers, Devil Wears Prada, The Blind Side. Yeah, a lot of Edge of Tomorrow, the same movie that's on Karen's list, Sing, Trolls, Straight Outta Compton. There's a lot of, they also do the show Empire, Avengers, Godzilla, Born Identity. Anyway, The Italian Job. I'm surprised that Wonder Woman is not on here, but if it's not on here, it's got to go to some other third-party supervisor. I'm wondering who that is. In any case, here's what's cool. Like format, right? Just like there's another company called Full Pursuit Media. Susan Kent works there. There's also Whirly Girl. Frankie Pine works at Whirly Girl. So there's all these companies that are third party, and you can start researching, right? And then you're going to find a website and email addresses for music supervisors, and you're going to go straight to the people, straight to the source. Because if you're going straight to those folks who are looking for those songs, it's easier than sending an email to Warner Brothers or Paramount, and they're going to get like thousands, right? So now you just know about format, which is a really, really important one to know about. Does anyone have anything else that you want to talk about? Anything? Who's got a hand up? Okay. So I feel like going forward, I think that everybody needs to really hold on to some sort of a workflow and keep yourself accountable, or else you're just going to fall off like anybody will. You know, we need to keep ourselves connected to something that keeps us in motion, and we know that. So just think about what you're going to do as you're moving forward. And I would put that plan in place. You know, people say to me, you know, so how does this work for you? Did you kind of just write things and send things off? And I'm very consistent and very deliberate in sort of a strategy. You don't want to like reinvent the wheel every Monday morning and go, do I have a system? What am I supposed to do? I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Like, you just don't want to do that. You want to sort of dial in a good system for yourself. So I would have on the calendar, you know, like I'm doing a co-write this day, this day, this day. I'm going to be in the studio 2 months from now for 4 days. I'm going to record whatever was good from the last 2 months of co-writes. Then I'm going to sit down this day and this day and this day and just send emails to supervisors those days. Then the other day, I'm going to brainstorm things I can do to sort of stand out for supervisors. And then I'm going to try these things. I'm going to do a mailing. I'm going to send people cupcakes. The other day, I'm going to come up with some concept of a workshop or something and see if I can get those people to come. Or I'm going to write an article about supervision, and I'm going to email so-and-so and get a quote from them, and then see if they're interested in, responding. And then when the article actually gets some traction and somebody picks it up, I'll send them the link. And I'm just constantly asking myself, it's really a simple thing. You're saying to yourself, I have something somebody else might need. How do I get it to them, right? And so you want to just be resourceful and creative and think about things you can offer beyond just like, hey, can you hear my song? Can you hear my song? Can you hear my song? I also think that you don't realize that the more you consistently show up, and again, I've said this before, but if you ask people, like if you have someone the other day, she's in our other class, she IM'd me and said, I haven't gotten feedback and I really need it. And I said, are you asking for real feedback? Are you prepared for me to tell you the truth? She's like, 100%. So I wrote her back and said, here's what's good. Your voice sounds a little bit like Annie Lennox. And I said, and here's what needs improving. And I kind of just told her everything. I was like, the lyrics are kind of mediocre. The song's boring. The track is boring. Da, 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 da. And she was like, thank you so much. This is so helpful. This is so, and I was like, wow, your response is so classy. It's so helpful to have people who care enough, who aren't like, well, screw you. I've literally had people defriend me when they've asked me for my opinion and I haven't given it because I'm afraid that I'm going to offend them. And then I'll really say, do you really want my opinion? I might offend you. And they're like, absolutely. And then they're like, F you. Like I've heard through other people, this person was so mad at you and she never wants to talk to you again. And I'm like, oh my God. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that, you know? And then in my own life, I have had emails that I've almost like printed out and framed when I've like sent somebody an email and they're like, this music isn't good. And then I've written back and said like, what can I improve? And I had one woman who wrote back to me and she was like, this song is on the nose. This is all these things. And I was like, thank you so much. And then I would follow up with her and she'd be like, I can't believe you followed up. And then on some level, people are like invested because they're so impressed that you followed up. So they like want to help you succeed. And so I have several friends who are songwriters who have one or two music supervisors that they did this with who like championed them and supported them because they were really at the end of the day impressed. Music supervisors are unsung heroes. They don't get paid the kind of money that record label folks get paid. They are true music fans. They grew up making mixtapes. They love music and they get paid a certain amount to do a lot of work. It doesn't matter if the movie takes 20 months to clear the songs or if it takes 8 months, they get paid the same. And they just care. They like music. And so what they're used to doing is people are just pitching at them. And it's like, no one understands it. Like they don't make a ton of money. They don't like walk around like with all these accolades. If a song gets signed because it was in a movie, nobody cares about them. They don't get some bonus or anything like that. So once in a while, if you care about them more than just being like, can you listen to this? And you can say to them, you know, if this isn't good, and you can put it in all bold, I want your full on feedback. You won't offend me. I really care so much about your opinion. And then you can totally like blow them away because a month later, be like, I took your advice. Is this closer? And if it's not, please tell me. You will not offend me. I just want to grow. That's all I'm interested in. And then you can write them again. So anyway, I would say think about leveraging that because even if you're going to get a no, at least don't lose the momentum because even if somebody writes back anything, it's an opportunity for you to learn from it and grow from it. So I would say that. And then, you know, for those of you who have enjoyed being in a community and getting feedback, if you want to take it to the next level, I do 100% wholeheartedly believe in this other program that we are doing, which is available. You guys can join this other program. It's not like we're going to leave you hanging. We do have something else that we built, which I think is one of the best things that we've ever created. It's a ongoing opportunity to get assignments and now take it sort of to the next level where you will literally be pitching, like that will be what you'll be working on. It's not about studying it as much as it is now getting in your craft and your zone and pitching music. You'll get assignments. We usually post 3 times a month. You know, we need a song for this healthcare spot. It's $40,000. We need this. This is going to be this much money. This is what kind of song we need. And then we listen to everything. And we've been working on that. So it's been really fun and really cool. And I think it's an amazing community. I don't know anything else like that right now. I know somebody was like, well, what about Taxi? And so I recommend that you guys do your homework on that and just really know what that's about. Because I do know some people who've said, you know, I got a placement through Taxi, which is great. I don't know how many ads they're doing that are like, you know, $20,000 spots, $50,000 spots. I think they do little TV stuff here and there. But what does happen is you pay, I think it's like $5 every time you submit. And then I think what happens is what I've been told, because I have a friend whose dad owns Taxi. So what happens is they have all these people who like they sit at a desk and they listen through headphones and then they submit what they think is good. And, you know, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of people submitting. I actually heard that there have been a few famous people who used to work at Taxi. Did you guys know this? Anyway, so they listen through songs and they send only what they think is great. So what we do in the Access group, which I think can be much, much more beneficial. So we don't only pitch your songs, but what we're hoping to do is bring in people like Alex Stern, bring in people like we've been bringing in Andrea von Forrester, and we have an amazing lineup for the next year. We want you to make relationships with them. You know, we want you to connect with them. And we've heard from, I think, almost every supervisor that when they get an email from someone who's in the class and they say like, hey, they respond. They're more inclined to respond, even if they're too busy and they can't respond. They're not annoyed by it. They find it like, they think that this community is a community that's it's a cut above. They see you guys as being a true resource where you're not afraid to do the work and think about them. You're not just sending them random songs. They know that you're really in it and you really get it. And so I think that they find it really refreshing. And we want you to make relationships with them. And if we do sign your song and pitch it, we're happy to encourage you to also be pitching your music on your own. It doesn't have to be this exclusive situation where you feel like you can't fly your own flag. You should. We want to be teaching you how to pitch your own songs. And then if we can help you, great. And if you help yourself, then that's maybe even better, because you can learn how to do this for yourself. And you can help each other, you know, like you being inside of this community, it's a great resource. Because let's say you do make a relationship with someone and you follow up with them on your own, which you should. And you're writing to someone like Andrea von Forrester 3 weeks after she's been in the class, and you send her a song and you tell her how great and how much you learned from that session and one thing she said that really inspired you or whatever. And you ask her if she needs a song like this. And let's say she says no. And then you say, well, what do you need? Well, maybe she turns around and tells you something that she needs. And maybe I didn't talk to her that day, because it's quite likely that I don't talk to every single person at every second. And so then maybe you turn around and you ask somebody in the class if they have something, and you just connect those two people. And now she's like, well, thanks so much for doing that. And then she thinks about you even more so in a greater light because you turned around and helped her. And now you helped your fellow classmate. Like, I think we should all be a team, helping one another, encouraging one another. And, you know, 4 of our students in the Access program got placements in this Christmas movie because one of the students posted and said, there's a movie a friend of mine is supervising, and 4 of the students wound up getting into that movie. I think actually 5. So that was amazing. I think that's a great use of time. Carrie, I see your hand up.
Hello. That Andrea von Forrester interview was one of my favorites. I literally laughed out loud like 60 times. But the coolest thing about joining the Access program, even though I was in like the second wave, was being able to watch all those replays. It was so time consuming and so worth it and so enriching. But I have 2 questions. One is if somebody, I'm asking for a friend, only had 2 finished songs, would that be too early to like reach out to supervisors, like disrespectful? Because it's taken me so long to get these 2 songs done. I'm hoping that gets exponentially faster, but you know, I don't know when the 3rd one is going to be done, or maybe I do because I kind of jumped off into the deep end and booked a session with Billy for the day after the live event. And so my second question is, you know, I've been thinking I should like crowdfund that, and your social media strategy is so strong. Your Jedi social media skills are so strong. So I was just wondering like what advice you might have for that, like how often to post. Should I be using Instagram more than Facebook? Should I do live videos? And
so the most powerful, I don't even think of myself as great at social media because I started my Instagram last year. Hello, welcome to millennium. I'm like, oh, should I?
You are though. You are.
I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, I think the sexiest, most riveting thing you can do on social media is to tell the effing truth. And so you have to be willing to suck it in and be brave. And what I would do is I would go on to, you know, my phone. I would pull up a, you know, video. I would take a video and I would think about what you really can say about wanting to be creative, how scary it is, wanting to make this time. It costs money that you don't have. You're trying to be resourceful. I would encourage your friends in this video that they should be doing things like this for themselves. And I would say to your friends, we all need to be making time to do the things that scare us, even if we're scared. And I am scared. I love music. I've been a musician for this long. I've completed 2 songs. Why? Because I'm hard on myself, because of this. Just be totally vulnerable. I want to write this song with somebody I'm a little intimidated by, but I decided to go ahead and do it, and I'm going to figure out a way to do it. And maybe we should all be putting out videos like this and supporting each other. And I'll, tell your friends, like, if you guys put up a Kickstarter, like, I'll donate to yours too. Like, maybe we should all help each other to fund our own dreams, because what's better than that, and maybe you can talk about, like, what holds you back and what gets in your way and what makes you feel scared. And even if you're, like, right now going live on video and I don't like the way my skin looks or my hair looks, or just be honest. People go crazy for honesty. And if there's anything that you can say about, why this means a lot to you and why you're going to fund it, don't worry. Like, you will fund it, because people respond to vulnerability. People respond to vulnerability. And I would think about also whatever you've learned that you think can inspire them, right? In you taking this risk, and you can talk about it while you're doing it. Right now I'm scared that I'm doing this and I look like an idiot. It's so hard to go and tell the truth, and I'm putting it out there, and it's hard to put yourself out there. But I thought to myself, you'll be so surprised. You really will be. And put it up there. I'll donate to it, and I'll be happy to.
So I'm going to do that first one, and then I'm going to go like, okay, I've totally overshared. I don't want to bother anybody ever again. But I should do it again. Like, how often?
Well, I would come up with something cool. Like, I would say to people, if you donate to this account, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you with me every day in the studio through my process. And I'm going to give you sort of a behind the scenes look at it. And then for the people who donate, like, I'm going to send you this, or I'm going to have a private house concert, or I'm going to stream a concert, or I don't know, I would come up with like stuff like that. And I think since everybody is truly scared and afraid of doing their thing, maybe you can say, I'll take you with me behind the scenes. And every day that I'm going out of my own comfort zone to be writing something or creating something over the course of, you can pick a length, 2 weeks or 30 days or whatever, I'll be encouraging you to do the same thing for yourself, because I think we all need this help to be willing to do those things that we know we need to do and we're scared to do them. I'm the same way. So I know that everybody is the same, because we're all the same. Like, I have so many emails and texts from my friends. Like, I even just started touching this wrapper when I was about to say this, but I have so many texts from my friends who are like, when are you writing your next record? It's been a long time. Are we getting together? Are we going to do a co-write? And I'm the dumbest, because I have all these producers who are willing to produce my songs for free. They definitely want a piece of the back end, so it's not really for free. But I have all these opportunities, and I'm like, I'm good. Like, I'm busy right now. It's just because it's uncomfortable, and I'm like, I have nothing good to write. And
oh my gosh, get in there. We're all rooting for you. You're like the bravest person.
It's like so stupid. Like, and then sometimes I'm listening to a song. I'm like, oh, this song is so good, and I can write something like this. Why don't I do that? And I'm like, oh, because every time I go to write, I'm so uncomfortable until I'm there and I'm finally in it, and I'm having the best day. And then at the end, I'm like, we did something awesome that didn't even exist before. It's so cool. But I don't do it because,
not that you don't already have 3 full-time jobs, but you have so many good songs inside of you, and we all know that. We're all rooting for you.
Thank you. And it is my favorite thing to do. So if that's true for me, I'm sure that's true for a lot of your friends. And so I would encourage them too. And that's what you can give them in exchange, is that you can give them that encouragement and take them with you on this ride. And people will help you for sure. People will help you. They will. Okay.
So if I have 28 days, like, should I get on live video like 3 times a week? Do you have favorite times? I want to like enforce a schedule on myself.
For some reason, it seems to me that the woman I think knows a lot, she told me that people it's better to post at like 5 in the afternoon than in the morning. I don't know why that is, but I think what really matters is that you just can do it when you can do it. And I don't know if you have to do it 3 times a week, but I would just do it at least, I don't know. I don't know if that's really that important. I think what might be more important is just coming up with sort of what you might give them in return and letting them know what that is and being excited about that. And you can continue to maybe post inspiring things that inspire you, messages, quotes, but don't be like afraid to post why that quote inspired you. I feel like people forget, like they'll post a quote on Instagram or they'll post a photo, but no one cares about reposting something. It's what it meant to you. So if you post a quote that says like, you know, never, never give up, why did you post that? And then be vulnerable, you know, because I need to hear that, because I want to give up, because I'm afraid, because I got disappointed the last, that's the stuff. That's where things get sort of, that's where things connect.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're going to have fun with it. I actually think that everybody should encourage them, like each other. We should all sort of take on a mission to be raw and more honest and have less shame and post more things that are real. Because I think social media is such an incredible tool for people to feel less lonely, but instead it creates people feeling much more alone because they look at everyone else and they're like, this person had the most perfect day. What the hell is wrong with my life? Well, that they didn't have a perfect day. So that's the problem, is you're comparing yourself to things that don't even exist. And it's so terrible when it could be really good. We could all talk about our struggles and then people feel less alone and they can really help each other. And I just noticed, like, when I post something that I'm going through or something that's frustrating for me, people are like so supportive, and it makes them feel like, I can breathe, because I also am self-destructive. I also had a fight with so-and-so. I also feel like I'm fat. Great. We're all the same. You know, we're all the same. What you need, you know, I need too. What you're scared of, I'm scared of too. We're all connected like that. Wow. I can't believe it's been an hour and a half. It just kind of flies by. Alex, you have one more thing to say?
Yes, one more thing.
Okay.
So this last month was like when I started to build the habit of trying to get a song to you guys at least once a week. Next month, I want to build the habit of contacting at least one music supervisor per week. Is it a good idea for the songs that are at least represented by you to name drop Catch the Moon, or do not do that? Or
It doesn't matter to us. I mean, if you want to, then you can.
do you find that?
I mean, I wouldn't be upset if you did it. I'm trying to think, like, is that helpful to you? I feel like it might be helpful in the sense that people sometimes know us and appreciate what we're doing or how we are. I don't know if it could hurt. I don't know that it.
But there's like no guarantee that they do know who you are is the problem, right? Like,
yeah, but I mean, chances are they do. Chances are they do. I don't know if it could hurt you even if they don't.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, you know, if you're going to use it, you know, maybe use it and then like add an extra sentence. Like, I work with these people at Catch the Moon, and what I've learned from them is to have empathy for you guys, is to solve problems for you. You know, that's what they've instilled, is think about what you need, think about how to serve. And so I write music and I love it. And I'm also really, you know, interested in making things that you find beautiful. So if this isn't it, I would love to know why, because I want to grow. Like, those are not sentences that most people are reading. So the more you stick with this radical empathy, and that's why I think being inside the Access group is a great investment, because I think that that's what music supervisors know about what we're doing. And I think everybody wants to feel seen, and people feel really disrespected in this industry. They get lots of emails from lots of artists who just ask them for things and ask them for things. And I think that they feel very put upon and taken advantage of. And I don't think that they think that most of the music even makes sense for what they're doing. And I think that they feel like there's a lot of disconnect between what artists are asking from them and what they can actually do, because the music really isn't what they need. And I think—
So let them know that you're willing to solve their problem, that that's what you're looking to do.
Right. You have to. I mean, they'll tell you themselves, like, sometimes the music I'm choosing is not necessarily the music that I listen to in my car, but it's the music I need because this is what the director wants. And this is the story that we're telling. And so at the end of the day, licensed music is songs that tell stories, and stories have to match the story that's being told. So it has to be something that's not just our story, but it's also their story. And so, yeah, it has to be about them. This is not the same thing as like sending a song to someone and saying, do you like it? Thank you. Like, that's not what we're trying to do. And I think artists are like, I just want to write, man. I want to write songs. And if they don't like it, I got the nastiest email from someone who was in the class and had an interesting experience and was like, you only care about taking people's money and you are terrible. And she was so hostile. And of course I responded to her very kindly, and then she was like, you wrote the nicest thing and I can't believe I wrote that. I'm like, me? But basically she was on this soapbox about, this is my music and you want everyone to sound the same. And I was like, I really don't. But what I do want is for people to realize, like, this is not about like, I want to tour and just express myself. That's not what we're doing. It's just not. Like, you have a buyer who wants to write a check to you for $75,000. They need a certain thing. It's like going to the store and saying, I need a black dress. I get it. That's a really pretty pink dress. It's great. It's interesting. It's creative. I like it. Alexander McQueen. Perfect. It's not what I need. I just need to go buy a black dress. That's it. You know, I'm going to a wedding. These are the colors. I'm in the wedding. This is what the bride wants. I'm not looking at anything that's not blue. This is just my... So people have a hard time with that, and they don't get it, and they make it personal. And it's not. It's actually the opposite. It should be about the other person. We should want it to be about the other person. And when you do that, I'm telling you, you're going to have a career, because no one is doing that, especially artists. Artists are the most in their own way people. It drives me crazy. I'm like, you have so many talents. This isn't rocket science. You could use your talent to make things other people want, and then you can spend the next 7 days writing whatever you want. And it doesn't have to even connect the dots. It doesn't matter. But why would you ask somebody to pay you for something that they don't like or they don't need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to communicate that to the artists that I work with, because a lot of them do. They just want to emote, and then they want to be paid to have feelings, essentially. And it's like, we all have feelings. Like, can you do something? Like, even for a touring artist, you need to be making music that is connecting to your fans, that's making them feel less alone. And so if it's all about you and your personal life thing, it's like, it's not helping your fans. It's not helping the people who want to support you. So.
Right. I mean, this is probably the biggest issue I see with people, and they're like, I can't make money from my business. I'm like, your business has to be about other people. Have you stopped to ask them what they need? What kind of pottery do they need? What kind of shirts do they want? Why are you only thinking about what you're creating? Because that's only one piece, right? So you totally get it. Your music is definitely speaking to people, and you're a great example of, this is music that's cool. This is music that does sound like an artist. It is authentic. It is awesome. It doesn't have to mean that, like, me solving a problem means I make something that sounds like it's so contrived. That's not what they want. That is not what they want. It has to be both, right? It has to be this sort of marriage of you doing something that's like, it's got some of you and this spark, and there's creativity in it. And at the same time, it's not that difficult to manage putting that in the world and just finding a way to funnel it through things that they need, that it should have in there. It's really not that hard. I actually think for me, it makes it easier to write songs when I have this like guidance for me.
Now it's definitely easier. When I first started the course, I know that I had a similar thinking where it had to be kind of cheesy, and it had to be
No.
And so it was a matter of practicing, if anything, of practicing how to keep it authentic and also meet someone else's needs. And I think that a lot of people don't want to put in that practice, that time that it's going to take to be able to make something cool that also meets a need of someone else's. So
yeah, and that's absolutely true. And I think that that's great that you get that. So, all right. Well, I definitely would love to continue to encourage you, give you guys opportunities, spend more time with you guys. I think that you will absolutely love being in this other program, especially if you've enjoyed this. I think you'll enjoy that more if this is something that, if sync is really your thing, I think that you'll find it sort of like the cat's pajamas. So message Victoria and we can find a way to make sure that you get in and also get like a bonus because you've been in this class. We want to give you something just a little bit extra. And some of you I'm going to see in a few weeks, which is going to be awesome. And some of you are already in there, which is cool because we can stay together. But if there's anything, do I have to give up coffee to be in the access course? That somebody just wrote that. I don't know, maybe it's possible. Depends how much you spend on coffee, but probably. But I don't know. I'm drinking coffee right now. It's store-bought because it actually tastes pretty good. It's like the Starbucks ones you can get in the fridge section. Here's the thing. This is what I want to leave you with in case I don't see you, or even if I do see you. I feel like my number one message is you're sensational just how you are. And that's going to free you. Just knowing that, like, just exactly as you are, bruises and all, broken parts and all, you are totally awesome. Because guess what? Everyone is not perfect and bruised and broken, and you are amazing just exactly as you are. So knowing that should give you the permission to create things exactly where you are. And amazing things are going to happen if you continue to know that. I guarantee it. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Message Victoria if you want to stay with us and join the Access course where you will meet music supervisors, pitch your songs monthly for opportunities. You'll get assignments and you'll get to meet these people and you'll keep growing. And I think that the cream of the crop is in that class. So you will have people to collaborate with, and I think you'll have a great year and we'll get to stay together. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you guys soon.